Welcome to Lesson 2 in Unit 16, Pinball Wizards. In this lesson, students will work to answer the question, how can we make the pinball move where we want it? In this lesson, they will continue to investigate forces. They will use dominoes to plan and conduct a hands-on investigation into balanced and unbalanced forces. Students will figure out that balanced forces are forces that are equal and opposite in strength and direction. Unbalanced are not equal in either strength or direction and cause change in motion. Students make connections to the storyline by connecting balanced and unbalanced forces back to their pinball machines. There are several opportunities for ELA cross-curricular connections throughout the lesson. You can look for specific standard connections in the Unit 16 Teacher Guide. This lesson will take approximately 3 to 4 days to complete. To begin the lesson, you'll ask students what they've learned about forces so far. For the engage portion, you'll review pushes and pulls, and you'll discuss how force can cause movement like that of a pinball. You'll show students images of a game of tug-of-war. You'll ask students what they notice about force on the rope in each image. You'll then revisit the driving question board. You'll add any new questions and highlight others connected to the learning goals of this lesson by calling attention to questions about forces related to the tug-of-war game or connections between the pinball game and the tug-of-war game. For the Explore portion, you'll begin by showing students the dominoes they will use in this lesson and ask how they think they could use the dominoes to investigate force and how they could track their data. You'll put students in groups of 3 or 4 and give each group a bag of dominoes. Students will use the dominoes in the Balanced and Unbalanced Forces student journal page to set up and carry out 2 investigations on balanced and unbalanced forces. They will complete the last column on the journal page at the end of the Explain portion of this lesson. Be sure to see the teacher tutorial showing the setup of this investigation linked in the teacher guide. For the Explain portion, you'll bring the class together and lead a discussion about students' observations from the investigation. They can use the Balanced and Unbalanced Forces student journal page to share their data. Use the provided questions to guide your discussion around the question, how can we make the pinball move where we want it? The goal of this class discussion is to identify patterns in student data to describe how balanced and unbalanced forces affect the motion of an object. Use the discussion to create the Lesson 2 summary chart. By the end of the discussion, students should understand that they need to apply a large, unbalanced force to the pinball in order to make it move quickly. The direction of the force will determine the direction of the pinball's movement. As you continue the discussion, you'll show students the Balanced and Unbalanced Forces video and ask students questions connecting this information to their domino investigation. During the discussion, you can post and discuss the Balanced Force vocabulary card and the Unbalanced Force vocabulary card. You'll have students use the Forces Construct an Explanation student journal page to make a claim about how unbalanced forces affect the movement of dominoes. Students can work in groups to make their claims. Once students have used the provided scaffold to construct their initial explanation, you'll use shared writing to construct an example of a written explanation with students. Students can use the Forces Make a Claim student journal to construct their written explanation. For the Elaborate portion, you'll complete your summary chart discussion by asking questions connecting the domino investigation to the pinball games they're designing. You'll then have students update their Designing Pinball Machine student journal page from Lesson 1 to show a force diagram using arrows to show the strength and direction of a force. They should label in the launcher where the forces are balanced or unbalanced. For the Evaluate portion, you'll display the Soccer Quick Check transfer task from the curriculum slides. You'll have students review the images and pair share to answer questions. To support student sense-making across the unit, you'll orient students back to the driving question board. You'll ask them, what did we learn about how we can make the pinball move where we want it? And what new questions do we have? By the end of this lesson, students will have conducted an investigation to compare balanced and unbalanced forces, and created a force diagram to explain how forces are exerted in a pinball launcher. In Lesson 3, students will continue investigating forces used in pinball machines. They will use cars and ramps to investigate the force of gravity. This lesson contains an optional Extend portion. UN students can consider how balanced and unbalanced forces are at work in everyday life. You can look at examples and have students explain whether the forces seen are balanced or unbalanced. Students can also access a tug-of-war simulation about balanced and unbalanced forces. You can have students work in pairs to manipulate the sides of the rope and compare balanced and unbalanced forces. For more information about this unit, visit myscipartners.com.